Hey everyone, so today I'm making this video on top of a few other videos. I made a video this morning, just me going to the streetcar as I do most mornings, or at least every Thursday, um, on just what I was doing today, and along with some videos that I'm going to be posting, and I'm going to be posting them later and throughout the week. I'm probably going to post one of them this evening, and it was the trip to the zoo, and where I got this guy who's been snuggling and sleeping next to me every single night since I got him. But this video, I kind of wanted to talk about something that was brought up in one of my classes today, and it's gonna be kind of an artist. I'm gonna talk about film and digital. Film versus digital, kind of. It's not really a battle between the two, but just talk about the two. I'm talking about this mostly just because we had some artists come into one of my classes today, and I found it kind of enlightening because I haven't picked up film since I had one of my projects last semester, and it was the whole project started off being in film, but then my professor ended up calling it boring. So I completely reassessed and rethought the project and rethought the idea, and I ended up doing it digitally. Whether it was successful or not, I think it was successful for what it turned out to be. It didn't turn out to be one of my strongest projects, which doesn't really surprise me because that's a whole nother, that's pretty much a part of my rants, and it has to do with all the bad things that I've had to go through in at OCAD, which is the university I go to, the Ontario College of Art and Design University. A mouthful. But the reason I wanted to bring digital and film up is because one of the artists that came in today spoke about film, and the way he spoke about it, he does this practice in photography still in film, and the way he talked, I asked him whether or not he preferred film over digital, and it was nice to hear another artist speak about film photography the way I feel about it and the way I see it, because I thought I was the only one. With film photography, for me, especially when you're shooting, I think when you're shooting landscape and you're using film, it becomes not about the lighting. It becomes not about the model or the perfect setup, or it can still be about the composition and having an interesting photograph, especially because you've only got an exposure of 36 images or 26 images. It really depends on the film that you use, but you only have that amount of framework to create those photographs, and you only have that role, and you can't look back, you can't look at it. That's what I think I noticed when I went from film to digital, was that when I was actually looking, when I was actually shooting digitally, I didn't really look at my screen, and I didn't really look at my photographs just to see what I had gotten or if I gotten the perfect image. I shot whatever I saw, I shot what I liked, and then I go about the rest of my shoot. And that's still how I shoot today. But when it comes to film, for me, when I shoot in film, I don't have a plan. It's never, I don't know, it's never planned out detail by detail, unless there were a few projects that I did with strong concepts where I actually had planned out every single image, and I knew exactly what I wanted for each image. But regularly, if I had gone shooting with film, I would just pick a place to go, and most of the places that I've gone, and I shoot landscapes, so it's not like vast landscapes or vast fields that I've gotten myself lost in, but I've picked a place where I've not ever gone to, or at least that's really new to me, and I've gone back a handful of times, so every time I've gone back, it's kind of a whole new experience. But after 4 or 5 times, I'll go somewhere else, just because I notice I'll start going on the same path, and then it doesn't become as interesting to me as if I get lost. And getting lost in a forest is sometimes, it can be a lot of fun, but you just have to be careful and make sure that you're not actually very lost in a thick, dense woods or a thick, dense forest, because then you could totally be screwed and be lost for days. So be really careful. I mean, I get lost. I've gotten myself lost in a big forest that's in the middle of like a community. So I just walk 5 to 15 minutes and I'm out on a normal street and I can figure my way out, which is what I had to do when I first had done that project and had gone to that area. And I recommend going to Hyde Park if you're looking for some real thick woods and some really quiet spaces. If you go the right direction, you can really get you can find some interesting locations. But just the feeling that you get when you shoot and you really consider what you're seeing, and it doesn't become about what you're seeing on your screen, but what you're actually seeing in front of you. And it's all about developing your film, like physically being able to handle your film. And that's why my third year, when I took black and white once again, when I got re in touch, I guess you could say, with my love for film. My film, and even to this day, is like my baby. If I have to get film developed, if I can't develop, like, let's say color film, because those chemicals are very, very toxic, it's terrifying to have to give somebody else my film, which is like my baby. So imagine the hours or even the days that you've spent shooting and someone wrecks your film. Oh my god, I would have a complete and utter fit. And I did once, because this one place that I had dropped off my film was dicking me around for a few hours when they were supposed to have my film ready and they didn't. But that's a whole other story. But actually being able to develop your own film and then actually going into a dark room and being able to develop your own photographs. There's nothing, for me, I found nothing more peaceful than sitting in a dark room for anywhere from 3 to, I could go straight, I had probably gone straight for 8 or 9 hours, and I'm not even joking. I would maybe leave for maybe a half hour to go eat something or go to the washroom, but I'd come straight back and continue my work. I don't know, that for me there was nothing more peaceful than being able to sit down or go into a dark room and develop my own photographs and get those amazing colors that you get in black and white, and the contrast that you get with black and white film, or those grays. If you're a really contrasty person, if you love your contrast, oh my god, the colors you can get out of film. Or if you like to have a nice gray tone, it's as much as I hate math and as much as I hate science, once you figure out the timing of the exposure of your enlarger and the washing process, it's all down to a science. There's nothing more, I don't even know how to explain it. It leaves me speechless when I develop an amazing photograph. And there's a very big difference between shooting and developing and printing an image through the darkroom and printing it through a printer. I mean, when you actually physically by hand develop your photograph, you know exactly how it's going to look. And because you're working on it, you're doing test strips, and it's all right in front of you. The hard transition for me was, going back to digital, was having to print something, and this still pisses me off. I mean, I'm working on thousands of dollars of print, like thousands of dollars of just this one printer. This printer is like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and it prints me something that looks completely different than what's on my screen, and it's to be expected. And that's why some printers, especially Epson printers, you've got to understand that what's on your screen is going to be different than what comes out of the printer, and what comes out of the printer is going to be darker. So you have to, that is the most annoying thing, is it almost feels so much faster to do a test strip through a wash than doing a test strip out of a printer. And I know that sounds crazy, but it really, for me, it does. It's just, I have so much more patience physically doing it than letting a printer do it. There is a lot of differences between film and digital, and people say film is on its way out, and the sad thing is, it probably will be in due time. I don't think the small group in photography will allow that to happen. Unfortunately, I think it may in the future, in hopefully not the near future, but I think it might, just because digital is fast, it can be cheap, it's no hassle, and that's pretty much it, is the fact that it's fast, it's cheap, and when it comes to galleries or commissions or whatever the case may be, they may want it really, really quick, and you can only produce so much and so fast and so big in a colored or in a dark room, whether it's color or black and white. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think the people, to hear finally somebody say something positive versus the professor that says something negative about my black and white, who called it boring, and to finally hear something positive again really makes me want to go out and shoot in film. And for me, again, there's nothing like spending the day or just going out and shooting and not focusing or planning it. Not planning, for me, is the best source of therapy. Is just going out and being able to shoot whatever I want and seeing what comes out of my film is almost like a complete surprise. Even though I already know what I've shot, it's like a whole new surprise, and then developing it and then having my photography and having my images right in front of me, washing and drying and seeing that perfect image. I don't know, there's something, that form of photography just, that makes me love it so much more. That makes me love art and photography so much more. And I hope, a part of me hopes that film never dies, just because it's a great way to really teach somebody how to see beyond really seeing what's on your screen and actually seeing what's around you. And I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. I just really wanted to get my feelings out there about learning, not only just learning photography on film, but just how I feel about photography. This is just one very, 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 very tiny aspect of photography, but it was just very, I don't know, very enlightening and positive to see that there are other people still shooting out there in film and actually being successful in it. And there's also the opportunity to be able to shoot in film and scanning it and then actually printing it, which is also an option, and I've been doing that pretty much all semester. I've been shooting, or I've been having my friends shoot in with film and me scanning it and printing out those images. So that's been enlightening, and that's a whole other project, but that's always a possibility as well. So any of you out there who are actually interested in possibly learning or just interested in shooting in black and white, I highly recommend, if you have just any curiosity in shooting in film. There's nothing like film. Digital will never be anything like film, and the satisfaction behind it, you either love it or you hate it. And I think that's a lot of things in life. You either love something or you really, really hate it, or you just dislike it. Hate is a very strong word, so we'll just stick to strongly dislike. But yeah, so I will be posting the other videos soon. I'm going to have all my info, as always, down below. My Twitter, my email address, if anyone wants to ask me any questions or get in touch with me. I will be posting more videos, hopefully within this next week, to do with one of my projects. I think I'm going to be posting it, I'm going to be making it live online. I'm going to explain it more if I'm going to do a video, and I think since I'll be creating a whole new Twitter account for that, and I'll probably maybe also be making a Tumblr page for it. I'm not quite sure, but that'll be a whole new video on its own. If anything, I'll just make a video and see what you guys think. But that's about it. So I am going to get out of my clothes, I am going to shower, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day, and hopefully maybe even get my nails done. Anyways, see you guys. Have a good evening.